of this ancestral and unceded territory of Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians that is now occupied by our campus of California State University Northridge, honors their elders past and present, and the descendants who are citizens of the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians. Associated Students recognizes that the tribe is still here, and we are committed to lifting up their stories, culture, and community. I'll now hand it over to Government Secretary Moss for the roll call.
Vice President Khan,
Here.
Senator Aronson,
Here.
Senator Flores,
Here.
Senator Gavino, Senator Jimeniano Aragon,
Here.
Senator Harris, Senator Covenia,
Here.
Senator Miyoshi,
Here.
Senator Nunez, Senator Olgan, Senator Perez, Senator Pulliam,
Here.
Senator Radionov,
Here.
Senator Weta, Senator Shirzadi, Senator Toledo Carranza,
Here.
Senator Tran.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Pulliam.
I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. And then really quick, point of order to the USU person. Can we raise the mics on all of them, please? Yeah, just a little, just because I don't think anyone's volume is kind of. Hello? Can someone else test their microphone just in case?
Hello.
Hello.
Testing.
Thank you.
Testing.
I don't even think that. Okay. Are you guys being able to pick up the sound from most of them? Okay. Okay, we will continue. If it becomes an issue, we will readdress it. Thank you. Is there a second on the motion to approve the agenda? Senator Aronson, thank you. Is there any discussion on the approval of today's agenda? Senator Gavino.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Thank you. Is there any discussion on the approval of today's agenda? Senator Harris, would you like to have permission to be recognized as well? Granted, thank you. All right. If there's no discussion on the approval of the agenda, we'll take it to a vote. If there are no objections, it will pass unanimously. Are there any objections to the approval of today's agenda? Seeing no objections, the agenda passes unanimously. We'll now move on to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion on the floor for the approval of the minutes? Senator Shirzadi. Thank you, Senator Shirzadi. And also, were you pressing and holding? Because you could just click it. Oh, you just pressed it? Okay. Okay, just making sure. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Aronson. Is there any discussion on the approval of the minutes from September 30th, 2024? Seeing no discussion, if there are no objections to the approval of the minutes, they will pass unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the minutes from September 30th pass unanimously. We'll now move on to special presentation. Our first and only one being with Ariana and James from Marketing and Productions to go over how to make event and marketing requests.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Waiting for that guy to pop up there, and we'll go ahead and get started. Awesome. So good morning, everyone. My name is James Forrester. I serve as the AS Programs Manager. So I'm here today to talk to you all a little bit about Event Planning 101, some strategies to help lead you through the best event development. So I'm going to talk through this presentation here, and then I'm going to pass it over to Ariana to talk a little bit about some of the marketing sides of that. So for some of you during the training, when you all first became senators, you might have seen a presentation similar to this. There have been some updates to it as well. For those of you that's new, there's an opportunity to kind of learn a little bit about event planning. And I'll make sure that you all receive a copy of this as well, because there'll be a couple links at the end for you all to kind of take a look at some additional stuff or some additional resources. All right, so the first thing I want to start out with when it comes to event planning is just a little reminder here. So a goal without a plan is just a wish. So if you all want to put on an event, you have an idea for something, remember that if you're not planning for it appropriately, just a wish doesn't mean that's actually going to happen or your idea won't come through all the way. So it's really important that we actually do plan out all of our events to the best of our ability. So where do you start? So you start with ideas. It's always best to think about an idea of what you want your outcome to be, and then how you're going to get to that outcome. For example, you want to, not the other way around, really. So you don't want to start with an idea of like, I want an event with a bounce house. That's what I want. You want to think about, what is the event and what you're actually hoping to get done and how you can deliver that, which maybe would be like a bounce house, for example. So if your event is, I want to do something about mental health, maybe stress relief, jumping in a bounce house is a way to deliver that, not the other way around. So it's important to think about what your actual event is trying to achieve and then move on to the methods of how to get there. So the best way to do that is to do an event proposal. So what I'm going to share with you all at the very end here is a link to the actual event proposal that we use over in Productions and Sustainability. But I'm going to walk you all through what those details look like. So we break our proposals down into 6 different sections. So event details, the event overview, entertainment, logistics, budget, as well as a map and checklist. So I'm going to go over all those sections for you right now so you can see a little bit about just what you're supposed to kind of do in these areas. Again, this helps you actually structure your event for when it comes time to get it approved, because these are all questions that you will be asked. So again, this is an exact screenshot. This is a document that I would recommend that you all use, but I'm just going to go through it just so you can see it. So again, at the event details, at the very top, you want to go over just the basic things. What your event name is, date, time, location, estimated number of people you expect. With that one, be realistic. It's unrealistic to say we're going to have 10,000 people at all of our events. Maybe it's somewhere between 100, maybe it's somewhere 200, something like that. For event overview, you want to go over some additional things. These are things that you're going to want to talk to your supervisors about and kind of talk about, these are the expectations we're looking to hit. So what are the goals of the event? It's a brief description. What are the benefits of hosting this event? What are the sustainability goals and plan for this event to make sure it's sustainable? What's your social media direction? What's your plan for marketing this event? Things you want to think about as you kind of move into that. You want to go over entertainment. So what's your food and beverage options going to look like? What's music going to look like? Is there going to be any there? What are activities and games you're going to have? What are raffles going to look like or giveaways? You want to look at event logistics. So the setup and tear down plan, how you're actually going to physically be there or who's going to help you set things up or take them down. Signage that you might need, whether you need to make that yourself, request that from marketing or anything in between, as well as an event timeline and kind of the script of the event. 8 a.m. this is going to happen. 9 a.m. this is going to happen. 9:30 this is going to happen. You want to kind of think about all those things, not only from the event creator perspective, but also the attendee perspective as well too. And then next you want to go into budget and kind of making a map of your event. Budget's really simple, just what is the item, how much does it cost, any notes about that. The notes could be an Amazon link or something like that if you need to give that to someone in order to purchase supplies, or just say, hey, I want to order 2 of these, kind of thing like that. And then finally, you want to have some type of checklist. So this is a checklist that we use in productions and sustainability, things that we always think about. So tables, chairs, microphones, speakers, tablecloths, generators, extension cords, sandbags, first aid kit, hand sanitizer, bringing out planners, QR codes, check-in signs, things like that. So you want to try to think of every single possible detail. We do over 60 events a year in productions and sustainability, and we still forget things off the checklist all the time. We are constantly adding more things to this to try to remember them. So it's okay if you don't get it right the first time. Just note that as time goes on, you can add things to the checklist and go from there. So now that you've created your proposal here, you filled out all the sections, what's next? And the answer is you want to get approval. So you want to get your outline or your proposal really realistically approved by your manager. I'm going to stress that it at least gets reviewed a little bit by Denise. Sorry, Denise, I'm calling you out here, saying it should go to you. The reason why it's really important that you get everything approved by your student leadership manager is because she's going to help you with some of the next steps of stuff. Additionally, she has years of experience here to kind of go over a lot of these things and can provide some insight, maybe some expectations. Hey, I recommend that you tweak something with your event, stuff like that. So once it's approved, what that approval looks like is you're going to want to be able to book your space through the USU, the MIC. So that's something that Denise would be able to help you out with. If you're using a budget, you want to confirm your shopping list using the corporate card if it's something that you need to buy, or if you need to request money through the finance committee, you want to make sure that you're filling out the forms for that. You want to chat with your colleagues, with all of you here, see if there's any suggestions or edits for ideas. see if there's any additional help that you will need. And you also want to think about how you're going to assess the event. That's something that Denise might have some ideas for as well too. Is it survey? Are you going to do a SWOT analysis after the fact? Or are you going to just ask people questions at the event? Assuming this event is something that you want to see year after year, whether you're here or not, you're going to want feedback in some capacity. Additionally, with the approval, well, that's all messed up. I don't know why. I swear I didn't make it formatted like this. You want to look at some timelines as well too. So some things for you all to think about when you're planning these events. If you're going to reserve a room in the USU, it could take up to a week to get that reservation. If you're going to reserve an outdoor space with the MIC, it could take up to 30 days to get that reservation fully approved because they also have other aspects checking with EH&S and other departments to make sure that that space is okay and that your event is okay. If you're going to do a reservation through academic scheduling and academic reservation, that could take 3 days to get a classroom reserved. If you're going to go through finance committee, that could take up to 3 weeks in order to get a full approval, depending on what day of the week you submit that request and things like that. If you're going to submit a request through AS Marketing to get marketing materials for your event, that could take 4 weeks minimum in order to get that. 2 weeks for them to create it and 2 weeks to advertise it. And that's the very basic, I just need a flyer. That doesn't include ordering items. It doesn't include anything that's branded. It doesn't include videos. There could be more time with that. So at max, you want to assume for at least 2 months post approval to actually get things planned. Some things might be shorter depending on what your event is, but you want to build that time in there to make sure that you get everything done ahead of time. Once you've done all those things though, that's the opportunity for you to inform marketing and productions about your event. So you go online to the AS website, you go to the marketing request form, click that little beautiful link right there that says programming request and fill out all the information. When you do that, all of your event information, which you now have already completed on your proposal, and you're just basically copying onto there, all that gets sent to myself, it gets sent to Ariana, I'm pretty sure it gets sent to Denise as well too, and then we can kind of look over and talk to you about where you are with your event. One of the things that we're trying to do is, with all these timelines, we're trying to be respectful and make things work for you all as best we can. But if things are not submitted in time and then we're finding out about them, we're going to start denying requests, especially if it doesn't work out with the schedules. If you put an event, hey, I want 30 tables on Sierra Lawn the same day we have a farmer's market and you're letting us know 2 days in advance, something like that's not going to work. So please, please, please remember the timelines as best you can. So with that, remember to revisit your outline, turn it into a guideline for future events. As you do these proposals, you go back, you edit them all the way up to your event and even afterwards. And then you can hand that proposal, which is now a guideline, to the next person and say, hey, if you want to do this event, here's everything I did in every step. And it helps kind of create your guideline for the future. These are the links that I wanted to provide for you all. So it's in a blank event proposal template there. You can literally go onto that link, copy it off of Google Docs and type in all the information there with all the checkboxes that we talked about to make your life a lot easier. I've also included a link to the welcome celebration event proposal that was completed. So that's the actual proposal that we use, map and all, budget and all, for you all to see in case you want to get ideas or inspiration or say, how did they actually do that? You can go ahead and click on that link there, which will make sure that you all receive. And that's Event Planning 101. Do you all have any questions about the event planning aspect of this process before I pass it off to Ariana to talk a little bit more about the marketing? Cool. Well, while I'm here and have the microphone, we have 2 events this week. The Farmers Market on Tuesday, as well as on Thursday, we have our Mental Health Awareness Fair. That one will be out on Sierra Lawn from 10 to 2.
So if we wanted to do an event like a tabling event,
Yeah.
like somewhere just on like a walkway, what would be the approval process for that with regard to like, because I know you said for different types of events, it takes longer to get them approved.
Yeah.
So what would be the timeline for something like that?
Yeah, so it really depends on what you're hoping to see. So if you're looking to use one of the concrete tables, maybe in front of Sierra or on Clary Walk there, that would be a request that goes to the MIC. And so you'd have to fill out the form, or Denise would have to fill out the form online. And then depending on what it is you're tabling about will depend on how long it takes to get approval for that. If you want, so that could take up to 30 days at max. just depending on exactly what you're planning to give away, things like that at your table, if there's food involved, stuff like that. If you're looking to advertise that, at minimum, you want to have at least 4 weeks there. 2, to design a flyer about it. Hey, we're tabling, we're going to be here. And 2, to actually implement that. Now, those timelines can overlap sometimes depending on what the event is. But again, you want to just be prepared as early as you can get out as possible. So at a very basic minimum tabling event, if you're using like a Clary Walk concrete table, that's how long it could take. If you're looking to reserve an actual space and have productions put a table out there for you with a tent, could be a little bit longer as well too, just making sure that we have all the boxes checked with whatever requirements it might be. Yeah. And I'd say, I'm here as a resource. So even when you're in the planning process, I'm not going to approve the events for you, but I can definitely be there to help and say, hey, you can ask me questions like, do you think this would work out? And I'll be honest with you whether or not, I think this is a good idea or if it might need a little bit of redirecting. Any other questions? Yeah.
As a general estimate, what's like a budget limit that people planning events should keep in mind before they try to do an event that might cost like maybe tens of thousands of dollars?
Yeah. I'd say a maximum budget for a really basic event, and I'm talking about like the maximum, I wouldn't assume more than over $2,000. Even that is like really scraping the top, and assuming you're going to have some type of giveaway element with food or branded materials or things like that. Most of the events that we host that are very simple and easy, we have all these supplies already. We have the tables, the tablecloths, the easy ups, things like that. Sometimes the content just needs to get updated on there. So some of those events don't even go past, $500 or $500 to $1,000. The best way I look at it is when you are creating your proposals, dream big with your budgets and things like that. And then when you talk with Denise about realistic aspects of your event, then you can kind of narrow those numbers down a little bit. Obviously, if you have to go to finance committee, they'll help you narrow those numbers down a little bit too. But I would estimate, you're going to have 100 people come by, especially if you're looking to spend money on food. Remember that our goal is not to feed everyone. It's more of an opportunity to just provide things for the first few people that come by. We're not trying to feed 40,000 students, maybe the first 100 that happen to show up, or 50 in that case, depending on what it is you're looking to get. Yeah. Other questions? Cool. I'm going to pass it over to Ariana to talk a little bit more about some of the marketing stuff of that, but I'm always here if you guys have any more questions. So.
Right. Good morning, everybody. I know it's a little ironic that the marketing person didn't bring a pretty presentation, but instead I'm going to paint some mental pictures. And I really wanted to kind of keep the emphasis on the pre-planning part of programming. I think that's where a lot of the concepts and ideation and a lot of that is really going to kind of push whether an event is going to happen and how much that we can do on the marketing side. So during the planning and the pre-approval process, really think about how you want to market an event. What are the goals of your event? What is the impact? What do you want students to get out of it? Because I think that's a big part of what we do. What is the impact and what is like the students getting from what we're providing? So keeping those things in mind is really going to be helpful once we get into marketing, because we're going to be able to implement all those ideas and concepts into how we, present it to the campus. So things to consider during your pre-planning and before putting in the marketing part of it. Think about if you want to just market digitally or if you're looking to do print as well. So this could be ordering lawn signs, ordering flyers, things like that, things that you maybe want to do for street teaming. The overall theme and maybe elements that you want to incorporate, like what do you want to stand out the most to students? So keeping those in mind. Time permitting, if you want to do some video content, I'm on the CSUN-AS page, we're doing a lot, and we want to encourage all the other, leadership page, production page, and everybody to do more content as well. But doing video content takes a lot more time. So as much as we want to have fun and do video content and also have you all involved because we want to show you off more in video content, that does take time. It takes time to schedule and, film and edit. So we want to keep those things in mind as well. Giveaways, those take time as well. If you want to just get a couple simple stickers, that can take anywhere from maybe like 2 weeks just for production and delivery. That doesn't include design time. So we always want to think backwards. How much time is it going to take for designing something? And then how much time is it going to be to order, to produce, to get delivered, and kind of do whatever we need if we're putting it in bags or anything like that. So definitely keeping those in mind. Ordering things like shirts, that's going to be even longer. Design part aside, you have to consider 3 to 6 weeks for shirts, depending on where it's coming from, production, delivery, again. So again, thinking backwards, and that's why the pre-planning is super important. Having an understanding of what it is that you want at your event is going to help us later on in the marketing aspect. So we have all your deliverables and what you need as far ahead of time as possible. Definitely consider all those time needs, plus delivery times, design times, all the fun stuff. And then if we do have to end up getting rush products, just know that rush products are going to end up costing more. We're paying rush delivery, rush production costs. So that might feed into your budget and how you broke that down as well. So always keep that in mind as well when it comes to maybe something that's coming up a little bit more last minute or we need a quicker turnaround on. And again, that budget breakdown is going to be super important. If you have an overall budget established for the full event, look at that budget and think of how you want to break it up into different parts. How much do you want to spend on t-shirts? How much do you want to spend on flyers? Anything like that is really going to help in the overall planning and execution of your events. And again, the more details that we have in the very beginning, the more we'll be able to accomplish and really put that into your event. Our team is so excited. They always want to do the best possible work. And as long as we have the time and we have the information, they are always so excited to kind of push that forward. So I definitely want to keep that, front of mind as well. When it comes to revisions, depending on the timelines, we want to look at if it's just text and copy edits, those can be quick turnarounds, but depending on how much time we have before an event and how fast we want to get it marketed and posted, we won't have a lot of revision available for actual design because that takes time. And you have to think, our team is just like you. We have student graphic designers, student videographers. We have one social media assistant. So they are taking classes and they are, proceeding their career as a student as well. So they have different schedules. So we want to make sure that we are just planning as well ahead and accordingly as possible. And with that too, we do work on behalf of all of AS. Like James said, they host 60 events a semester or for the full year. Yeah. And that's just productions. So we have to think, we're working for you all, we're working for sustainability, for outdoor adventures, for sport clubs. And again, we have a very small team. So the more ahead that we can do things and the way that we can just collaborate and work together, that is going to really make sure that we are just doing the best possible work for all of our departments. So I really want to kind of, hit that narrative as well. And again, with everything, all of the information and the timelines are always going to be on our website and embedded within the forms as well. So you can always see those timelines, always see those breakdowns, and always go back and reference. And just like James said as well, we are a resource. During this pre-planning and anything, come to us and, myself, Daniel was always in the office, we will help you kind of come up with conceptualization, come up with new ideas, whether it's digital or print stuff, or maybe it's street teaming ideas. We'd love to do more marketing pop-ups, really get in front of students rather than just relying on the digital aspect. So there's so much that we want to do, and we just kind of want to be a part of that process and really think about how much we can accomplish as far ahead as possible. That's really kind of what I wanted to push today. And again, everything will be online, and you know where to find me. We are right across from the leadership office. Either myself or our students are always there to answer any questions that you may have, or again, even just coming up with some ideas even before you start your pre-planning. Maybe it's next semester I want to do something, how do I begin? We love having those conversations and our door is always open for that. So yeah. Any questions, anything? And again, too, if you guys see that during these planning process, you feel like something's missing, or maybe there's something that we can be doing differently for you all, bring that up. We are always looking to kind of improve our process and make things easier for everybody. So we want to do that as much as possible. So we are always open to critiques and feedback and ideas. So any questions? I know that was kind of a lot of talking.
Sorry, can you explain just the process from the moment they know they want to get materials till the moment they receive their materials? I know there's a new form in the leadership office for marketing, and I think there's a lot of confusion with like
Definitely.
which forms used for what. So if you could explain that.
Yeah, so I'll start with the form that we kind of established with Ruby and she has established over her desk. As the chair of communications, and we talk about social media and how we can do tabling and marketing things across campus. So the goal of that specific QR code was just for Ruby to collect information on doing content and stuff on social media. So that's like if, you know, there was specific things you wanted to post on the stories, or maybe you wanted to work with her or work together to do your own post on the season leadership page. That's kind of what that was. So the programming request form that's online, that's for bigger events. Like as James said, that's going to go to James, myself, and Denise. And that's where everything starts. That's where James could start kind of planning conversations if there's any assistance that you all need with like setups and logistics. And then once we have that, we'll schedule a kickoff meeting, and that's where we'll go over every marketing need that you need for your event or program. And once we have that kickoff meeting, that's where everything starts. Because again, we really want to make sure we have the most details as possible at the very beginning. So that kickoff is where we're going to discuss your themes, your elements, what you're looking to accomplish, what kind of messaging that you want to push, what digital content you want us to create, whether that's video or additional supplementary graphics on Instagram, or anything else that we can do on campus. So that kickoff meeting is going to be crucial, and that's where we're going to establish everything that we need, kind of tell you what the general timeline is looking like, and what we can or can't do. So that's where that one comes in. And then we do have an additional marketing request form. That's a general marketing request. That's going to be like supplementary if there was already a larger event submitted to us already, and you forgot to maybe include something, you can use that. Or if you just want like a simple social media graphic, like maybe it's about getting more committee members, or you know, something that you're pushing, that's where that general marketing request form is going to come in. So primarily, the ones on the marketing website are going to be the ones that are established for your actual events. The one that we established in the leadership office is mostly for Ruby to kind of get social media content and kind of plan around that. So that's not like an event marketing request form or anything like that. That's just for her to kind of plan content, tabling, all that kind of fun stuff to push everything that student leadership is doing. And that means like updates and events, like maybe there's, you know, resolutions that you're passing or things that you're working on and you want to just kind of post about that on social media. That's what that office QR code was for. Yay. Any other questions? Yes.
I want to comment that if you submit a request today with a nice 6-week cushion, you're looking at November 18th as the earliest you can plan. So please keep that in mind.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Again, you know where to find us. We're always open to any other questions or ideas, or you know, anything you want to talk about. So thank you.
Thank you so much, James and Ariana. I hope that you all were able to take something away from that and learn, I guess, because you'll just be utilizing everything that they kind of went over throughout the year. And it's better that we just one and done. We know how to do this and we never have to talk about it again. And that's it. Just kidding. If you guys have questions, we can figure that out too. Okay, cool. We'll now move into open forum. Open forum is intended as an opportunity for any member of the public to address the Associated Student Senate regarding any issues affecting CSUN students. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes each to speak. Please sign in using the clipboard for minute recording purposes. Is there anyone here for open forum? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good morning. I feel like I've spoken in this room way too much in the last week. My name is Susanna Rogan. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the new Assistant Director for Prevention and Education in our Office of Equity and Compliance. So, oh, thank you. So my reason for coming today is I really wanted to take a moment to introduce myself to you because this first year in my role, it's a brand new position with the university. So my first year in the role is really creating relationships, but also taking the time to discover what students, faculty, and staff need. I very much have the approach of creating with rather than creating for. And so hopefully at some point in the future, we can partner to bring students into conversation about what the needs are around preventing discrimination, harassment, and retaliation at CSUN. So that is kind of the overarching role that I have. But I also wanted to ask if there were any questions, and ultimately, at some point may come back for a special presentation.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming and introducing yourself to us. Does anyone have any questions? Well, this is a great office. I was on the search. I think I've mentioned this 3,000 times, but I was on the search committee for the assistant vice president for the Office of Equity and Compliance. Is that you? No. No, I interviewed. I was like, I didn't interview. I was like, wait, what? I was like, Mandela effect.
No, I am not an investigator. I am the fun, fluffy prevention
Okay,
person.
great. Okay, then you're cool and fun and awesome. Okay, everyone else in that office is probably too, please. Okay, great. Well, if there's anyone that has any questions or would like to have more information, it's a great office. And I was actually thinking of reaching out to the office to see if we can do some sort of like training or
Of course,
something.
that would be me.
That's not perfect how the universe just lines up. So yes, we will connect then. If
Okay.
anyone has any questions or anything. Oh yes, Senator Soto Carranza.
Can you receive? Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for coming in here. Yesterday we had a Sport Clubs 101 and I saw you there like presenting. So thank you so much for the beautiful presentation.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that it was impactful to at least one person. Thank you very much.
Senator Pauline.
Since this is a new position, what have you been working on so far?
Oh, so my role it encompasses all the way from compliance pieces to like actual prevention education, right? So we know compliance doesn't necessarily change behaviors in the way that it's structured oftentimes. But what I've been doing so far is looking at what are some communication strategies that we can be using specifically around like the new Title IX regulations. The other piece is really getting our compliance pieces solid. So for example, the sports club presentation, that would fall under the compliance umbrella. So doing something that's actually impactful, that maybe people are going to learn something that changes behavior, but I'm not going to bank on it. Like that's, so getting those compliance pieces really solid, creating relationships across the university that are actually going to impact how I'm able to do the job. I am one person and there's a lot that needs to be done. But I've also been digging into like the Cozen O'Connor report, any reporting that I can find that talks about discrimination and harassment across the campus, really trying to understand like what is the full scope of the problem and how have we addressed it previously. And then I've been doing a lot around, we're going to be revamping the website, and that will be something that I am responsible for as well. So really looking at what is the most trauma-informed and easily accessible way to set up a website so people can navigate it in a way that actually encourages them to seek reporting options or resources rather than being another barrier to add. And so from there, I've also been doing strategic planning, looking at, what do the first 3 to 5 years look like? What can I do in terms of grants and other funding options so that I can build something a little more robust and more impactful as well? Just a little bit.
Thank you so much. And what was your name again?
Susanna Rogan.
Susanna, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Okay.
meet you as well. All right.
Well, thank you
Thank
for being
you.
here. Yep. Oh, did you end up signing in?
I did.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anyone else here for open forum? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to reports. Starting with mine. Okay. I have not a crazy amount, I think. We'll see. So last week we had two legislative affairs events. First one being Politics Are a Drag, and the second one being the Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party. I had a chance to stop by Politics Are a Drag for a little, and it seemed like it was going really well. I'm sure that Vice President Khan will touch on it in her report as she was there for the duration of the event. And then I had the chance to go to the Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party, as well, as I just said, and that was really fun and interesting. And we had a lot of different people in the room, which was great, and a lot of, I don't know, you know how there's just two sides to this whole thing, and both sides were there, and that was kind of fun and exciting. And yeah, it was really cool, a very engaging event. And then one of my professors was assisting in the facilitation of it, so it felt really cool and awesome, and it made me have some pride for the comms department. My second thing is that I got officially appointed to the foundation board of directors just last week, I think. And for you all's information, the primary mission of the foundation is to help the university raise private gifts and grants from alumni, friends, corporations, and foundations in support of accelerating the transformative power of higher education provided by CSUN. So I will be sitting on their board of directors, which is exciting. We held the CSU interim system-wide time, place, and manner student forum, which included Dr. Watkins, who is in the room, Chief Fernandez, and Asia, who is also in the room. And a lot of students attended, and it really sparked a lot of meaningful conversations, and a lot of the students were asking really great questions. I'm hoping that they all took something away from it, which I think that they did. And the whole intention of the event was to provide students with that ability to reach administration and ask the questions to the individuals and stakeholders that would be implementing the policy. And we heard a lot of feedback on experiences that students are having with the MIC as well that they aren't really happy about, but we'll be meeting with the respective individuals to discuss and address those concerns today. I attended the police advisory committee last week, and the team had actually come and talked to us. This is, I think, my now like third time hearing about it, which is really great, and I'm glad that it's being ramped up, is the mental health response team. They came and presented to us around the beginning of the semester, if you all remember. And it was really great to hear that they're up and rolling. And one thing that I really took away was they already had 20 calls since the start of the semester, which is like really awesome. And it just shows you that, you know, something like that is working. And I'm glad that there was a lot of care and intention put into that team. And I'm very excited to see how successful it is for the year to come. Obviously, we want to hope that no one has to call, but if they have to call, I'm glad that the option is there for students. And then me, as well as some of my our senators here, met with the University Corporation about CSUN Ready. So I had the TUC set up a meeting to have a more in-depth conversation about CSUN Ready. So we all had questions, and there were just questions that we essentially, like, our senators could have put in more thought in the questions, as opposed to here where it's just like, oh, you're seeing it for the first time and then you have to think of questions on the spot. So a lot of meaningful discussion was had, and I'm glad, and I'm hoping that our senators took something away from it. Next, we had our weekly cabinet meeting, and I facilitated a discussion about creating some sort of a, quote, expectations list for everyone, so that we can improve the working relationships of one another. And so kind of like went around the room and were like, what do you guys want to see out of each other in this space? And I'll be working on like compiling a list for this week's meeting so that we can, you know, set some standards for ourselves and also try to reach those standards so that we can fulfill our duties like professionally and responsibly and efficiently. I attended the Associated Students Breast Cancer Awareness event on Thursday that was put on by Productions, and that was a really good time. And I don't know if some of you know, but my mom actually passed away from breast cancer this past year. And so attending that event and that kind of being like my first you grow up and then you see all like the breast cancer like walks and awareness and stuff like that. And now you see it from like the perspective of someone that has like a lived experience with it. So it's really cool. And it really opened my eyes and was like, oh, wow, this is like a really great event. It evokes a lot of thought and care. So shout out Productions. I had a good time. There were also yummy cupcakes there. I had a chance to get them before they were out in 5 minutes. And then I attended the cultural potluck put on by various identity-based organizations at CSUN, one of them including MENA, the Middle East and North African Club, that is the, how do I say president? Well, Omar Joinat is the president. He's the chair of DEI. And if some of you don't know, I'm a Syrian American, so I brought some Arab food and people devoured it and it was great. And if anyone wants to know the life of the delicious Arab food that exists, let me know and I can give you some good spots. And then on Friday, we had our first Campus Fee Advisory Committee. This would be my second year on the committee. I was on the committee when I was a senator, which was so fun. But it was just an orientation, and we went over our bylaws. And then for all of your information, the Campus Fee Advisory Committee provides advice to the university president regarding proposed new campus-based student fees or adjustments to existing campus-based student fees. That's kind of all the technical stuff. I'm going to go over some reminders, and I'm going to end with a sentiment. So this Wednesday, we have the leadership mixer. You guys should have all RSVP'd. It's going to be in this room, Wednesday, October 9th from 3. Not in this room? Oh, is it really in the Orchard? In the Orchard Conference Center, Wednesday, October 9th from 3 to 4 p.m. Please be there. This will be an opportunity for you all to meet your deans, meet administration. President Beck will be there. In the past, we've really only done this event like once a year. So take advantage of it and use it as like a very great networking event. And please arrive in business casual attire to really, show up. And then tomorrow we have the District 40 Candidate Forum. That's also going to be the Orchard. It's going to also be in the Orchard Conference Center from 4 to 7. So from 4 to 5, it's kind of going to be like a intro event. And then from 5 to 6:30 will be the actual forum. And then from 6:30 to 7 will be a meet and greet with the candidates. So that's going to be with Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo and Deputy, oh my God, what's his title? Deputy Sheriff, right? He's a retired LA County Deputy Sheriff, Patrick Lee Gibson. So they're both running to represent District 40, which so happens to be Northridge, and the district representing CSUN. So if you dorm here or if you live in District 40, they would be the people that you'd be voting for if you're registered to vote or able to vote. So please come by too if you'd like, and spread the word to your constituents. And then I just wanted to end on a sentiment. Again, get a little personal, which I really haven't done in my report, so you guys are kind of lucky. Just wanted to say that once again in the Middle East is really experiencing a devastating escalation in violence with a lot of unprecedented killings and mass casualties, particularly in Palestine, which has now spread to neighboring countries that I have personal ties to. As the daughter of Syrian immigrants and someone with family still residing in Syria and in Lebanon, just two of the many Middle Eastern countries that have been deeply affected by foreign intervention and aggression, it's really incredibly painful to witness these horrifically barbaric events unfold. I just share this to implore each of you to stay informed and critically evaluate the sources of your information and be mindful of the lived experiences of your Arab classmates and constituents. It is really crucial to extend empathy and understanding to the Arab community, which has faced significant challenges and unjust oppression over the past decades, and particularly in the past year. So please, now more than ever, we must engage in informed, compassionate dialogue to support those directly impacted. Thank you so much, everyone. That is the end of my report. Are there any questions? Senator Toledo Carranza.
Point of personal privilege.
Granted. Thank you. Any other questions? That wasn't a question. Dr. Ward, go ahead.
I usually don't have a question, so pardon me, but I wondered if your position on the foundation, is that an ongoing position for the AS president or just for you?
So I was asked I think I was asked over the summer to provide just 2 appointments. So one of them was myself, and President Beck makes the final call. Any other questions? That's a good question. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the Vice President's report with Vice President Khan.
Good morning. Going in reverse chronological order, starting with Friday. I went to Academic Tech Committee and they had a presentation on ADA compliance with accessible resources online. This is a revision to ADA and it applies to Title II, which are public entities. So there's a new legal standard for web, mobile documents, videos, and social media. So this is going to affect Canvas. It's going to affect the sources your teachers give you, your professors give you for different assignments. It's going to affect what CSUN's putting out, whether that be social media posts or documentation. So this is going to be really interesting to see that change. Although CSUN already does like majority of what they're requesting, we might see minor changes here and there, especially in Canvas, because each individual professor has autonomy over what their Canvas page looks like. It's not going to be regulated to be more accessible. So this is going to be implemented by April 2026, which is when the compliance date is. They also talked about Lift AI very briefly. Lift AI is a virtual space for faculty and staff to explore AI. I know that's been a big hot topic, kind of like on this board. So if you're interested, I can connect you with someone on Academic Tech to talk more about that. It's not open to students. It's intended for faculty and staff in the academic world of professing. So, but I can definitely connect you. And with that, they are having an open house tomorrow from 12 to 2 at the library garden level. So if you'd like to attend, I'll be there. We can go together and kind of see what's up with Academic Tech. Katie brought up that some representatives from AS met with the TUC related to CSUN Ready. I'll just say it was very interesting from my end, kind of seeing where the senators' questions were and then where the TUC's answers were. I think there's a lot more to be asked and to be discussed, and hopefully we'll see more of that in the future. The breast cancer awareness celebration was great, like Katie mentioned. The TPM town hall, that was very interesting. It was really informative for me as a student leader, a student rep, to see where students stood when it came to this policy. This is the first time we've had a huge group be able to give their feedback all at once. I've been hearing things here and there from different individuals, but not as like a general group kind of coming forward with the same sentiments. General consensus, I think it's safe to say that the students dislike the policy, and I'll get more into that in a second. Most of the complaints were rooted in things, from my perspective, most of the complaints were rooted in things that can be easily remedied with understanding of the policy and how to navigate the barriers that may be perceived. And I use that word perceived like very carefully because I think just like working together and kind of figuring out how to navigate the policy would alleviate a lot of these complaints. I'm looking towards additional solutions on how to gain trust with student clubs and organizations and be of assistance for the student body when it comes to navigating this policy. And there's going back to like the dislike, I feel like it comes from a lot of mistrust and fear of the unknown, which is completely understandable and it's very natural. And I want to work with students to navigate this rather than kind of preach at them that this is just a new policy. So let me know if you have any suggestions or approaches that you feel could be successful in this. Oh, wow, my phone's ringing and my laptop turned off. Okay, Politics Are Drag. Politics Are Drag was on last Monday. It was fantastic, groundbreaking. nothing like this has been done at or from AS's end. So it was really nice to see. The engagement was sky high. I counted 75 people at least in and out, which is a huge number for kind of like the turnout we've been getting like in the past few years. I don't want to say few years. I've only been here for one, but in the last year that I've seen. So that was really, really awesome to witness. Looking forward, tomorrow is the candidate forum. We have the mental health awareness event, as James mentioned. Katie mentioned the leadership mixer. Let us know if you have any questions about those. Tomorrow is also the Black House voter engagement event, and that's actually taking place. It overlaps with our candidate forum, but kind of see how you want to, where you want to go or what you want to do. Both events are equally as important, and I do want to try to sneak out, but I am moderating tomorrow, so I don't think I'll be able to attend. I mean, unless Katie takes over for a second. And then I want to close my report by acknowledging student activism that we see and we partake in. Student activism is often the backbone of issues being addressed with urgency and taken seriously, and it leads to growth and development outside of the classroom, which we all know is what college is about. Seeing my peers stand up for what they know to be true is very inspiring and something I always stand behind and encourage. And being in this student representative space and also being an activist myself, it's interesting to navigate that sometimes. So if you're in a similar boat as me, I am here to listen and talk about it and kind of figure out what's going on. Yeah, that concludes my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Vice President Khan. I will reiterate, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the Chief of Staff report with Chief of Staff Ramos.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. It was nice and hot, so hopefully some of you went out to the beach or something. No? Okay. Alrighty. This is a lengthy report because Cabinet got a lot done this week, so yay, but I apologize in advance for how long this might be. Alrighty. So for my report, I sent Ruby a social media request regarding reaching out to the poli-sci department and also the history department about recruiting a new attorney general, chief justice, and assistant of chair of finance. These are very crucial positions within cabinet, and we need them immediately. So I will be out there trying to recruit and pass out flyers after after meeting with Ruby. So hopefully her collaboration will help us have new positions. And then, alrighty. So we had a very productive meeting last cabinet meeting regarding expectations within the workplace, and we were all reminded to communicate with one another and to answer emails within a timely manner and to keep the good vibes up. But as Iman said during the meeting, keep it real. I think these expectations should also apply within Senate. When you're collaborating, don't forget to communicate with one another. Really answer your emails when cabinet emails you or when you email each other. It's really important when they're answered. Also, like I said, you guys are doing a great job keeping the good vibes in the office, and keep it up. I also had a dinner with the president and vice president. It was a lovely dinner. We talked about a lot of stuff and stuff regarding my position and what I will be doing for the office. So many projects for me to so yeah, I'll be busy soon. But if you have any questions for me regarding any projects you want to collab on, please let me know. And then that is all for me. So for Chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, he had a busy week as well. He attended the University Affair Committee meeting and spoke about issues with food on campus. Had his DEI committee meeting, and will start to send out weekly Wednesday recaps for all his committee members. He's moving closer to solidifying the ideas for DEI week. He discussed potential themes for each day of the week, with ideas ranging from cultural awareness workshops to student panels on inclusion. Feedback and input from the committee are needed to ensure all groups are represented. Also, the t-shirt designs need to be finalized soon for the marketing team. He's continuing work on revamping the DEI guide website. Suggestions were made to include a section for cultural resources and mentorship programs. If anyone has experience with web design or content creation, your help would be appreciated to ensure the guide is comprehensive. The response to limited edition t-shirt idea has been great. Designs are in progress, but there's still room for more input. If anyone is interested in helping finalize the design or has unique concepts, please reach out to him. Basecamp is fully set up, invitations have been sent out, and all committee members should familiarize themselves with the platform. This will be where they are sharing their meeting agendas, track progress, and organize communication. And then furthering planning has been discussed for the first generation event in collaboration with EOP and Trio SSS. We are focusing on securing speakers, ensuring ASDEI has a strong presence. Suggestions for promotional ideas or potential speakers are welcomed if you know any. And then Chair for Legislative Affairs, she had a very, very busy week. Sharing voter registration material. Please be sure to make sure you are registered to vote and check your registration to make sure it is up to date. Recently, they had their first AS events, Politics Are a Drag and the Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party. They went super well, both receiving a great turnout. Thank you to everyone that came by to the event, whether to help out or attend. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Upcoming event this week, Democracy in Action, a candidate forum with California Assembly District 40 candidates on October 8th, 2024, from 4 to 7 p.m. The next lobby court meeting is October 7th, 2024, from 1 to 2 p.m., which is today. We'll finalize details for candidate forum and work on Big Party, which will be November 4th. She will continue to email local offices to be part of Big Party and continue voter registration initiatives with Lobby Corps members, as well as begin more planning on and coordination for Big Party. If any cabinet members or senators would like to collaborate on voter engagement initiatives or event planning, please let her know. And then Chair Personnel and Communications. As for interviews, she had 1 interview request, 9 eligibility checks, and 1 appointment. She has been very busy on her Instagram posts regarding leadership application, lobby corp events, time and manner, and open forum. She will be supporting senators and creating flyers for their events. These senators will be social and behavioral science and business. As for Member of the Month post, she sent out a Member of the Month of September and will be finalizing introduction filming. And then she will also be setting up a tabling event for Comms Committee regarding outreach and open positions, setting up a giveaway. I'm reminding you to respond to your email with date and time when they are available to film. Again, going back to the emails, please respond within a timely manner. Also, don't forget, if you do want to request an event or any marketing plan, as they said during our presentation, please don't forget to scan that QR code. They're posted everywhere around the office. It's really hard to miss. That's all for Ruby. Chair of Elections, she had a meeting with Nikia, I think. Nikia? Yeah, that's right. Okay. On Thursday, she had a meeting with Denise on Friday. She also had an internals affairs meeting Tuesday at 4 p.m. And then she has also completed the draft for the elections calendar. She's working on outreach for elections committee and currently conducting marketing PR person and USU representative for future marketing ideas and events. As for the assistant chair of elections, she met with the elections committee and is connecting more with the chair of elections for more events. And that is all for our report. Thank you for listening to this lengthy report. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Chief of Staff Ramos. Is there any questions on the Chief of Staff's report? Senator Nunez. Point of personal privilege granted. Senator Toledo Carranza.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Thank you. Any other well, those were not questions. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the Chair of Finance report with Chair of Finance Ponce.
Hey everyone, I hope you all had a good weekend. I'll start off with the account numbers. So the STAR fund is currently at $178,487. Under the unassigned contingency fund has a balance of $806,502, but we're still waiting on a updating balance from our controller. The Phil Fund currently has 15,000, and the Clubs and Orgs Travel Fund has a balance of $17,871. And additionally, the Clubs and Organizations Travel and Clubs and Organizations unassigned funds have now been combined, and there is a starting balance of $25,000. Now on to my report. So this week in Senate, we have 3 supplemental requests, one from the American Marketing Association, another one from AS Admin, and one from the Indian Student Association. We also have the AS Hospitality Policy on the agenda, so I'm looking forward to hearing discussion on that. And aside from that, one of the big things last week was that I met with Jennifer from the MIC to discuss Finance 101 and the MIC Leadership Conference. So for those students that aren't able to attend the MIC Leadership Conference, I'm going to be hosting Finance 101 sessions during my office hours up until December 2nd, because the annual budget is scheduled to close December 6th. And aside from that, I attended my first Campus Fee Advisory Committee meeting on Friday, October 4th. It was a pretty short meeting. We just went over rules and procedures, and I'm just looking forward to serving on that committee. And aside from that, just a couple of announcements. The MIC Leadership Conference is taking place October 12th. As of now, we are hoping to open the annual budget October 14th and expecting to close it December 2nd. And yeah, this week I just have an IRA board meeting on October 10th. I plan to continue working with the MIC and our controller on the Finance 101 slides to incorporate the hospitality policy. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair Ponce. Are there any questions on the Chair of Finance report? Asia.
Well, can you just clarify the deadline for the annual budget submissions? Is it the 2nd or the 6th?
December 6th, but for Finance 101 sessions, I plan to close those off December 2nd.
Thank you.
Senator Harris. Try to click it. Oh, it doesn't work at all. Okay. Good news. Can you? Can you guys pick up the IT? How about this? Yeah, Senator Harris, say what you're going to say, and I'll repeat it on my microphone. Because I can hear you. Go ahead. Or, yeah, that works too.
Does this one?
Yeah.
So if there is no like Chief Justice to charter the events, like charter the clubs and organizations, how can they receive financing before December?
So I'm not too familiar with, in terms of like club constitutions, I'm not too familiar with that, but in terms of club pre-registration, it is the MIC that takes the lead on that.
Asia?
So, I know this came up in the past, but as long as a group is recognized by the MIC, then they're eligible to receive, AS financing. I believe last year, the chair of finance, Yvette, had mentioned that because AS doesn't keep a list of chartered clubs, that she never even referenced that. So that's, I think, an internal process that you all need to address.
Vice President Khan.
Yeah, and just speaking on codes last year, I was an internal and we did look over the Chief Justice Code, and we kind of rearranged how that was going to work. And to Aja's point, that's how we've been doing it, going off of the MIC. So I understand the confusion, and I can get you a copy of that new code so we can look over it and maybe even see if there needs to be more adjustments made.
Senator Nunez.
Permission. Whoa, that now it works. Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the standing committee reports, starting with external affairs with Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Good morning, everyone. So, short report today. Last week we discussed on the time, place, and manner policy. So we had a very fruitful discussion on what it was important to include for the resolution. And then we also got to start discussing on the Executive Order 1043, which was a very great introduction session. And we were also wondering what the first steps were going to be. And Senator Harris started contacting different people to get information on how to act and start the resolution. This week, we plan to get information on that and also to incorporate the student opinions from the TPM forum so that we can start the resolution. And shout out to Senator Shirzadi for attending the forum, and hopefully we're going to have that report this week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Geminiano Aragon. Is there any questions on the external affairs report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the internal affairs report with Senator Gavino.
Good morning. This will also be pretty short. We have 5 legislative referrals in internal affairs. The one we mainly worked on last week was regarding the Lobby Corps code. We're close to bringing any amendments to that code to a vote in committee, so that's very exciting. We also spoke about committee eligibility was another big referral on the table. I attended the TPM forum briefly that was put on last week. I had talked to some student orgs beforehand about them coming out to that forum, so it was really great to see them there, and they had a lot of valid and enlightening perspectives and concerns about the policy. I also attended, like President Karim said, the TUC CSUN Ready meeting where we got to ask a lot of questions about them, and I agree with Vice President Khan that there's still some work to be done there, but we'll get to work on that. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Gavino. Are there any questions on the internal affairs report? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the university affairs report with Senator Aronson.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. So the University Affairs Committee is currently working on 5 legislative referrals. So the first one, I'm working on the Better Campus Food Act. The second one, our Vice Chair, Senator Tran, is working on parking availability signs. As of last week, the third one, new employee, Senator Wada is working on that one. The fourth one, Dropbox Opiate signage removal, Senator Pulliam is working on that one. And revised policy number 90006, finally, Senator Ogan is working on that one. And we have 2 more that we're going to discuss today. So we're very excited to, get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Aronson. Are there any questions on the university affairs report? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the interim AS Executive Director's report with Tim Shapansky.
Good morning, everyone. We'll start with sport clubs. Unfortunately, this weekend was all losses, so we'll leave it there. Outdoor Adventures spent the weekend in Sequoia National Park. Our Children's Center all is going well with our assistant director. That new person should hopefully be onboarded by the end of this month. So we'll have a empty vacant space filled. Our UPass right now is up to 858 students, which is right about where we were last year, which is still below pre-COVID times, but we're still on track with kind of at least students using it. Reboot Camp, January 16th. So if you want to put that on your calendar, that would be a good date to put on there. Last week, we met with Anthology or Engage, or better known as Matisync. For you all, they have an elections tool that we wanted to see how that worked, since we have it. And then we currently, as AS with the USU, have another election tool that we use. So we're testing to see if that will be feasible. And then we're also going to meet again about the financial tool for the clubs. And then the last thing, last week, sickness ran through my home. So I just want to make sure everybody is good and taking care of themselves. Getting to that middle of the semester with midterms, the change in the weather from hot to cold. Get your sleep and get your rest, and have a good week this week.
Thank you so much, Tim. Are there any questions on the interim AS Executive Director's report? Seeing none, we can move on to the University Advisor's report with Asia Butler.
Good morning. So the MIC, in collaboration with the Office of Equity and Compliance, we have a Red Zone campaign on our CSUN MIC Instagram account. So the Red Zone is a period of time which sexual assault is more increased. And so I encourage everyone to check that out, CSUN_MIC. Our leadership conference is this Saturday. We're focusing on strengths-based leadership. And I just wanted to, make a little comment about the time, place, and manner forum that happened. And I know there's different concerns expressed about scheduling space, outdoor space through the MIC. And I just want to reassure everyone that, the MIC and our campus partners are all committed to helping support student events on campus. However, there are occasions when different events pose different challenges and it results in processing delays. And, kind of going back to the presentation that James and Ariana did, like advanced submissions is really, really helpful, just because you just never know, what information may be needed, what delays may happen when we're processing events. So, I am meeting with our campus partners later this week to talk about, how we can improve what we're doing on our end. I know we're meeting later on with AS leadership and Dr. Watkins as well. But we definitely want to make sure everyone knows that we do want to support student events on campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Asia. Any questions on the University Advisor's report? Seeing none, we can move on to the Faculty Advisor's report with Dr. Veda Ward.
Happy Monday, everyone. I always want to remind for the voices that we have in the classroom, recognizing that this is particularly Jewish high holidays time, where we're looking at culture, religion, spirituality, etc., through Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And again, these are things that are showing up within your readings, voices, and perspectives that you want to have within the classroom, as well as the other cultures throughout the months and throughout the year. Particularly right now, we're looking at a lot of different learning styles in the classroom. And just as you all have a variety of course selections that you're required, those are often connected to learning styles. So whether or not those are visual, auditory, kinesthetic, mathematical, sensory, etc., all of the things that you sample within the university in the classroom are also going to be replicated in other domains in your lives, whether it's your community, your workplace, etc. These are then going to translate into leadership styles for you, whether it's management or eventually some type of evaluative process that you go through. So again, even though it seems like, why are we doing all this? A lot of times the goal is to plant those experiences for you within a safe classroom environment so that when you encounter those outside, you'll be ready. My last thing is, of course, ageism awareness. I mentioned this last week. I think the 9th is the day that that actually comes up. And just as it says in the minutes, to remind everybody that that goes both ways. And so that while you all are learning perhaps about older adults and those experiences, older adults are also learning about generational issues that you bring not only to the campus, but into your communities and workplaces, as well as your families. So again, share those ideas, your feelings, your sentiments about that with us, and then different interpretations for the information that you encounter in the classroom. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. Any questions on the faculty advisors report? Seeing none, we are done with reports. We'll now move past unfinished business to new business. Our first one being to appoint Sarah Shabib for Lobby Corps. Are there any motions on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to appoint Sarah Shabib to Lobby Corps.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Slato Carranza. Is there any discussion on the approval of today's appointment? Seeing none, we can take that to a vote. All in favor of approving Sarah Shabib for Lobby Corps, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to the new appointment. I don't think that they're here, but let's just clap. Thank you. And then for all voting, please throw your hand up in the air so I can make sure. I don't want to miss anyone. Because we have a bunch of other stuff to vote on. We'll now move on to the finance recommendations. I will ask for the motions individually. So the first one is to allocate $2,712 from unassigned contingency to the American Marketing Association for their year's supplemental budget. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to allocate $2,712 from unassigned contingency to the American Marketing Association for their year's supplemental budget.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Miyoshi. Any discussion on the first line item? I hope you all got a chance to look at the the finance request. Senator Toledo Carranza.
I have to look over my phone because I forgot to bring my MacBook. But anyways, as I was reading the supplemental funding request, it says that they're seeking 8,620. That was a last one, right? From previous. But
So their initial, and I'm sure Leslie would just love to jump in, but I'm just gonna say, I think that their initial request was 8,620, but after they go to Finance Committee provides their recommendation based off of the request.
my question is, it says that it was due to an improper filing of the AMA budget by the previous board. So what does that mean?
Chair Ponce.
Yeah, so for that budget, they originally did submit an annual budget, but they only got approved for 200 and they didn't request everything that they needed for the year in the annual budget. So this is why they submitted a supplemental so that they can get funds to cover what they need for the year.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, then we can take it to a vote. All in favor of approving the allocation of $2,712 from unassigned contingency to the American Marketing Association, please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to the second line item, finance recommendation to allocate $2,000 from unassigned contingency to AS admin for commemorative AS triple pins. Oh, how fun. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Miyoshi.
I move to allocate $2,000 from unassigned contingency to AS admin for commemorative AS triple pins.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Harris. Is there any discussion on item 2? Senator Gavino.
The supplemental funding request lists the breakdown just as triple pins and then the price. Was there a specific number of pins that they were ordering?
Good question. Tim?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to grab in the corner. I think it was 3 sets of 300, 200 apiece, for the kind of the first initial, go around to make sure how it's being used and what it's going to be used for. But it was for past presidents, AS leaders,
Mhm.
and staff.
Nice. So cool pins.
Cool, yeah.
Cool pins for cool people. That's what I'm hearing.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, then we can take it to a vote. All in favor of approving the allocation of $2,000 from unassigned contingency to AS admin, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. The motion passes unanimously. We'll now move on to our third finance recommendation to allocate $1,800 from unassigned contingency to the Indian Student Association for, I was really appreciative of that, honestly, Navrati Garba event. Wow, she already knew that I was going to botch that. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to allocate $1,800 from unassigned contingency to the Indian Student Association for Navrati Garba event.
You did that so much better than me. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Nunez. Is there any discussion on this motion? Senator Soto Carranza.
My question is, does every club get a budget, or is it through supplemental funding whenever they need money for things that they are asking for?
Chair Ponce.
Yeah, so clubs are supposed to submit an annual budget, but a lot of them don't, or there's change in leadership, so that's where supplemental comes in.
I have another question.
Mhm.
And for like you were mentioning some clubs don't submit like an annual budget, but what is not the maximum amount of annual budget that a club can get, or like between?
They can get 9,000 in a fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Did the Indian Student Association already had a budget, or is this just something they are like requesting?
Chair Ponce.
I believe they did not have one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great questions. Just to let you all know, the annual budget is like public as well. Either me or Vice President Khan will find the link, or someone will find oh, it's on the website. It's officially on the website. So it's on the website. If anyone's curious about what every club's budget is, where our money goes to in our annual budget, totally feel free to look at that. It's very interesting, and will provide you a lot of perspective when approving these finance requests. Yep. Chair Ponce.
Also, when looking at the annual budgets on the website, it might appear that a club has an annual budget, but they can request for more funds if like the previous leadership in their club didn't request for everything, because they do get a maximum of 9,000 in a year.
Thank you for the clarification. Senator Harris.
So I know like supplemental funding doesn't cover like a few things, like for example, like food or decorations and whatnot. So technically are clubs like through MIC able to do fundraisers on campus so that they can raise the money for that, or not really?
Chair Ponce?
I believe clubs can do fundraisers for that, or if they want to fund food, clubs do have an agency fund that they can source to, which is basically like their club bank account.
Thank you. Asia, did you want to add anything in that regard? Okay, good. Then she was on point, and that's awesome. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor of the approval of the allocation of $1,800 from unassigned contingency to the Indian Student Association, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. Thank you unanimously. We'll now move on to our last, this is finance recommendation. Yeah, it is fine. Okay, to approve the AS hospitality policy. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Pulliam,
I move to approve the AS hospitality policy.
thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Gavino. Is there any discussion? Senator Aronson?
So I read this over last night, and one thing that sort of struck me was this sentence sort of towards the beginning. So it says, when an employee meeting takes place or when a AS employee or board member acts as an official host, the occasion must, in the best judgment of the approving authority, serve a clear AS purpose with no significant personal benefit derived by the official host or AS employee. So I would ask for a little bit of clarification on number one, what that means. But number two, if something that maybe an AS senator is doing is not necessarily in the AS mission statement, does that mean that that event can't happen? I'm not sure how to interpret that.
I am not sure. I did not create this policy. Does anyone, Asia?
I believe it's just referring to a personal benefit. So I think that as long as someone is acting within their role and capacity as a senator, as long as they're doing something that's like related to the overall AS mission, that it's fine. But I don't know, Tim, want to ask? He was referencing the beginning, the persons.
Yeah, I was trying to find which sentence you were referencing.
Yeah, so on page 3 of the hospitality policy, right under where it says policy, the second sentence in that paragraph. So it starts with when an employee. So I have a further question about that.
Yeah, so part of this would have to do with like, if I just want to go have lunch with Asia and we're just hanging out and having lunch and coffee, that's not really serving a purpose. If we were going to have an agenda brought to that, and then we were going to talk about a bunch of things, not that I would do that, but like, there has to be a purpose to the meeting. And then at that point, it has to then go through the proper channels. So using me as the example is probably not the right way to do it. But let's say Kevin had a meeting with his staff and they wanted to provide lunch, there would have to be a purpose for it. Like they couldn't leave, they were busy doing things, and then that has to go through an approval process for it to be approved. So, and then that would move up to me. And then if I was at the meeting, it would move up to Dr. Watkins. And if Dr. Watkins was at the meeting, it would move on to Colin Donahue. So there's a process. Yeah.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
So I'm upper division. So obviously the events that I would hold would not have to do with a specific college. So let's say I were to host an event, for example, for like, I don't know, the Jewish Students Association. Would that be considered something that is within, because as a Jewish student, would that be my personal benefit? Or would that be something that is related to AS? That was sort of what I was confused about.
Tim?
Yeah. So we all fit in a different space and a role, and sometimes we are part of that community, but you're doing it for the community and you're part of the community and you're going, while it does benefit you in one way, it's not taking advantage of it because you're still serving, let's say, that Jewish event that you were going to put on. So, but it still has to go through an approval process to be able to do it.
Asia?
So I'll just add, it's basically like if you in your role as a senator have a group of constituents that you want to meet with that happen to be the Jewish community because they've expressed some certain concerns that you want to speak to them specifically about, in your capacity as a senator, it would be appropriate, right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the clarification. Vice President Khan?
So in regards to like being a senator and hosting events like that, your one semesterly event that you are required to do is for your full constituency, so your full college, and then your personal project and any other side things, they can fall under any sort of realm. But when doing your required event, try not to limit it to a certain demographic within your constituency. Try to open it up. And then from there, you can obviously take on extra things. We're not here to police you. So just keep that in mind, that in the code, it does say you have to serve the constituency for your event.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Tim?
Just to give a little bit more clarification on this, the bigger changes to this policy is the recognized student organizations. That was what was added from the past policy. That is something that clubs will also need to be doing, is the hospitality form. It is part of the policy that came down from the chancellor's office. So that was what's primarily been added to this AS policy on hospitality form. Most everything else would have stayed the same, or should have stayed the same unless there was a mistake.
Thank you, Tim. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Senator Toto Carranza.
So Tim, you're mentioning that there's like certain things that has been changed or modified, or is it like not at all?
Tim?
Yeah, the only, nothing's been changed. It's just recognized student organizations, or RSOs, as it gets into the policy to abbreviate. They now just have to do the policy. They have to do the hospitality form. So there will be a form that they will fill out. They will follow the same policies and procedures that AS goes through, or any other organization on campus, for pre-approval or post-approval, depending on how much they're spending on that particular event. So if I'm part of the book club and I want to order pizza every day, I can order pizza, but I'm paying for pizza, and there will be a hospitality form that will be added to that after the fact. And then it would just list the name. So that'll be broken out on the form. If I'm going to have an event that's going to go beyond $1,000, that club will then have to come and get pre-approval before they do that, because the event is larger, even if it is AS budget or their agency, due to the policy that the chancellor's office approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any other discussion? Senator Aronson?
Another thing I wanted to ask about is in the third to last paragraph under hospitality policy, before where it says approved by the board of directors on, it talks about blanket approval. So it says the AS executive director or their designee can issue a blanket approval for hospitality expenses for reoccurring programs and or events that have been approved by the AS annual budget. So my question would be, would this blanket approval require that the expenses for each program or event be exactly the same? Or would it allow any wiggle room? So let's say I'm hosting reoccurring programs or events and they consistently cost $1,000, and then I get blanket approval. Would that mean that then I could have an event and spend $1,500 and that would still be approved, or would that not mean that?
Tim?
we'll use the farmer's market as an example. So they're allocated X amount of dollars for the entire year. We did a blanket approval for farmer's market. Let's say farmer's market is $1,000. The blanket approval, there are going to be variances because let's say it's 2024 and something costs $1,000, but now it's 2025 and something costs $1,025. As long as James, within his budget, can cover that cost, yeah. And now if it goes way beyond, we're having some trust and faith in our managers and our departments that they're spending their money correctly. But if there are changes, it would impact their budget at the end of the year, which is then when they come and they would have to say, hey, I'm over budget. And then we have a bigger conversation about the proper use of student fees. So as long as they can balance the budget by the end, we do. And that's a perfect one for a blanket approval because he does multiple farmers markets throughout the whole year.
Thank you, Tim. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we can take this to a vote. All in favor of approving the AS hospitality policy, please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to, nope, move past information and discussion items into legislative referrals. We have one submitted by Vice President Khan. The title is Ethical Spending -AS. The request is, when revisiting the quote, support for divestment from more on campus report from spring 2024, an alternative approach is recommended to be taken, assessing associated students' spending of student funds from an ethical and sustainable lens. This was suggested to Internal Affairs, and it will go to Internal Affairs. Okay, great. That was our only legislative referral. Okay, we'll move on to announcements. I'm going to make the first announcement. It's Madeline's birthday. Woo! And she's here. Isn't that so nice? She loves us so much. It's also our chair of diversity, equity, and inclusion's birthday, Omar Joynat. He's not here, but we'll applaud to him in spirit. So please say happy birthday to them. And yes. Okay, that's my announcement. Any other announcements? Senator Pulliam.
I went to the Politics Are Drag, great event, saw Iman and Curie there. Okay. And then last week I also met with the dean of my department about my personal project. And then, well, not my dean, the chair of my major, Flavia Flesher. I met with her. And then today I'm meeting with the dean to follow up about different stuff. And last week I went and watched American Idiot, that play by like the Deaf West Theater and Center Theater Group. Went opening night, great. Hearing and deaf actors there, collaboration, amazing. Definitely go and check it out if you're able to. I sat in like cheap seats, but it was still an amazing production. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Senator Aronson.
Something Vice President Khan mentioned in her report was the Black House event that's happening tomorrow from 5 to 6:30. I'm not sure if I mentioned this at a previous meeting, but I'm going to be speaking at that event. I would love for all of you guys that are available to come. Like I said, 5 to 6:30 at the Black House on Halstead.
Thank you so much, Senator Aronson. Senator Toledo Carranza.
Yesterday was Sport Clubs 101. It went amazing and great to see new faces, a lot of new members for Sport Clubs. We gave a presentation about what Sport Clubs Council is to all of the new members. And we have a full board now. So we have a vice president on the SEC board, e-board, and then we have a secretary now. So those are very good news. And then the event just wrapped up so quickly before 2 p.m. And there was more than 200 students on the event. So, yeah.
Any other announcements? Senator Pulliam.
Forgot to mention this Wednesday from 5 to 7. Last week I said 5:30. It was 5 to 7. We have the fall festival for the education department. If anybody wants to go.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to final roll call by Government Secretary Moss.
Vice President Khan,
Here.
Senator Aronson,
Here.
Senator Flores,
Here.
Senator Gavino,
Here.
Senator Himeniano Aragon,
Here.
Senator Harris,
Here.
Senator Covenia,
Here.
Senator Miyoshi,
Here.
Senator Nunez,
Here.
Senator Olgan, Senator Perez, Senator Pulliam,
Here.
Senator Radionov,
Here.
Senator Weta,
Here.
Senator Shirzadi,
Here.
Senator Toledo Carranza,
Here.
Senator Tran.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I adjourn this meeting at 10:41 a.m.